Houthis have stunned the world with a missile strike that reportedly broke through Israel's defenses, shaking the entire Middle East. The shocking development has sent ripples across global politics, sparking urgent discussions in Washington, Tehran, Riyadh, and beyond. Reports suggest that Yemen's Houthi movement, long underestimated in terms of its military capabilities, has now managed to hit targets that were previously thought untouchable under Israel's Iron Dome and multi-layered defense systems. This moment is being described as a game changer, raising the question, has a new era of warfare just begun? Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Please subscribe and like my videos. What we're witnessing right now could reshape the balance of power in the Middle East. For years, Israel has prided itself on having one of the most sophisticated air defense systems in the world, a network designed to intercept everything from short-range rockets to long-range ballistic missiles. The Iron Dome, David Sling, and Arrow missile defense programs have been celebrated internationally as models of modern defense. Yet, this new strike from Yemen shows that no shield is completely impenetrable. Eyewitness accounts and regional media claim that multiple missiles not only bypassed Israeli defenses, but actually struck military and possibly infrastructure sites, forcing Israel to acknowledge vulnerabilities it rarely admits. For the Houthis, officially known as Ansar Allah, this attack is being hailed as their biggest show of strength to date. For years, they have been engaged in a brutal war in Yemen, primarily against the Saudi-led coalition, and over time they have steadily built up an arsenal of drones and missiles. Initially dismissed as crude weapons, these tools of war have evolved into increasingly sophisticated systems, some with guidance technology that suggests possible foreign support or adaptation of advanced designs. If these reports are accurate, it means that the Houthis have now entered a new stage in their military capability, from being a regional nuisance to potentially a global threat actor. The timing of this strike is also significant. The Middle East is already on edge due to the ongoing conflict in Gaza, tensions between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon, and escalating confrontations with Iran. By choosing this moment to launch such an operation, the Houthis have inserted themselves directly into the geopolitical spotlight. For years, they've voiced solidarity with the Palestinian cause and opposition to Israel, but this act elevates them from rhetoric to action, with implications that could ripple throughout the Arab and Muslim world. Pro-Houthi demonstrations have already erupted in Yemen, with crowds celebrating what they see as a humiliating blow to Israel's military pride. The psychological impact of this strike cannot be underestimated. Israel has relied on the belief in its invulnerability to missile attacks as a key part of its deterrence. Now, with footage allegedly showing explosions inside Israeli territory and reports of intercepted defenses being overwhelmed, that aura of invincibility has been cracked. Whether the damage is minor or major doesn't matter as much as the symbolism. The Houthis have shown that even from the mountains of Yemen they can reach Israel, a country that has traditionally operated with relative freedom of action against its neighbors. This will embolden resistance movements across the region, from Hezbollah to Hamas, each of whom is watching closely to see what lessons can be drawn. International reactions are pouring in, though so far they are cautious. The United States has condemned the attack, reaffirming its support for Israel's right to defend itself, while also quietly investigating just how Yemeni missiles managed to bypass such a high-tech defensive shield. Some analysts are already suggesting that the missiles may not be entirely indigenous, raising questions about Iranian involvement. Iran has long been accused of supplying weapons technology to the Houthis, and if it is proven that Iranian-designed systems were used, this would mark a direct escalation in the shadow war between Israel and Iran. Saudi Arabia, which has spent years battling Houthi missile and drone attacks on its own territory, is also alarmed by this development. If the Houthis can reach Israel, it means their range and precision are far greater than previously assumed. Riyadh has been attempting to de-escalate tensions with Iran and the Houthis through diplomatic channels, but this event may force them to reconsider their strategy. A stronger, bolder Houthi A movement threatens not only Israel but the Gulf monarchies themselves, especially if their alliances draw them deeper into the regional conflict. Meanwhile, ordinary people across the Middle East are reacting with a mix of shock, fear, and in some cases, celebration. In Palestinian territories, the news of the Houthis striking Israel has been greeted with cheers, with many seeing it as part of a broader regional struggle against Israeli military dominance. In Israel, however, citizens are questioning whether their government and military truly have the capacity to protect them against a multi-front war. The anxiety of living under constant threat of rocket fire has been a reality for many Israelis, but the idea of facing missiles from Yemen nearly 2,000 kilometers away introduces a new dimension of insecurity. Geopolitically, this raises urgent questions. Will Israel retaliate directly against the Houthis in Yemen? If so, that could dramatically widen the current conflicts, pulling Yemen directly into a war front it has not been part of until now. Israel has carried out strikes in Syria, Lebanon, and even covert operations in Iran, but attacking Yemen would open a new battlefield and potentially trigger an unpredictable chain reaction. The Houthis, for their part, seem prepared for escalation. Their media outlets are already boasting about the success of the strike and warning that more attacks could follow if Israel continues its actions in Gaza and against Palestinians. Military analysts are already dissecting what may have happened in this attack. One theory is that the Houthis launched a barrage of missiles simultaneously, overwhelming Israel's defenses through sheer volume. Another possibility is that they used a mix of drones and cruise missiles, exploiting blind spots in radar coverage. A more alarming scenario is that these missiles contained new guidance systems, enabling them to evade interception. If this is the case, it signals a worrying trend. Missile technology that was once confined to global superpowers is now in the hands of non-state actors, leveling the playing field in ways that traditional military powers never anticipated. This event also carries massive implications for the global arms race. If Israel's defense systems can be penetrated even by a group like the Houthis, then nations that have purchased or rely on similar systems may begin to question their effectiveness. Countries in Europe, Asia, and the Gulf have invested billions in missile defense inspired by Israel's success. Now doubts will grow. If missile defense isn't guaranteed, then offensive capabilities building bigger, faster, smarter missiles may become the new priority worldwide. That shift could lead to a dangerous cycle of escalation. Economically, the region is also at risk. The Middle East is home to vital shipping lanes, particularly the Red Sea and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, which the Houthis have threatened in the past. If their reach extends to Israel, then commercial shipping, oil exports, and global trade could face new disruptions. Insurance rates for ships passing through the Red Sea are already spiking after drone and missile attacks earlier this year. A wider conflict involving Israel could endanger one of the world's most critical trade arteries, affecting everything from energy prices to global supply chains. Diplomatically, the strike puts enormous pressure on the United Nations and other international mediators. Calls are growing for urgent talks to prevent the conflict from spiraling further, but with so many players involved, Israel, Yemen, Iran, Saudi Arabia, the U.S., and others, the chances of a quick resolution seem slim. Instead, this incident might harden positions on all sides. Israel is unlikely to show restraint if it feels its security is directly at risk. The Houthis, emboldened by their success, may continue pushing boundaries. Iran may see this as an opportunity to tighten its influence in the region, and the U.S., already stretched by global crises, may be forced into deeper involvement. In the streets of Sana'a, the Yemeni capital, Houthi supporters are treating this as a historic victory. Banners and slogans praising the resistance are flooding public squares, with leaders vowing that this is just the beginning. For them, striking Israel is more than a military act, it's a symbolic stand against what they see as injustice in Palestine and foreign intervention in the Arab world. This narrative resonates with large segments of the population across the Middle East, even among those who don't support the Houthis domestically. It taps into a broader sense of anger and frustration at decades of conflict, displacement, and perceived double standards in international politics. On the other side, Israel now faces a crucial decision. How it responds will set the tone for the coming weeks and months. Will it retaliate with overwhelming force, potentially dragging the region into wider war? Or will it focus on strengthening its defenses and working with allies to contain the threat? Either path carries risks, but the longer Israel waits, the more emboldened its adversaries may become. For Prime Minister Netanyahu and his government, the pressure is immense. They must reassure their population, signal strength to enemies, and at the same time manage an already fragile international image. This strike also highlights a grim reality. Modern warfare no longer respects borders or distances. Non-state actors, equipped with advanced weaponry, can now shape global events from remote corners of the world. The Houthis, once dismissed as a localized insurgency, have placed themselves firmly in the international spotlight. Whether this is a turning point in the Middle East or just another flashpoint in a long history of conflict, only time will tell. But one thing is certain, the message from Yemen is loud and clear: Israel is not untouchable. As the dust settles and the world tries to make sense of what just happened, one can't help but wonder, are we standing on the brink of a much larger conflict, one that could engulf not just Israel and Yemen, but the entire Middle East? The Houthis' missiles have done more than just hit a target. They've shaken the foundations of an already fragile region. And in that uncertainty lies the danger, the unpredictability, and the potential for the next chapter of history to be written in fire and steel.